Welcome back to my channel. So on today's video, I'm talking about the things you need to consider before you pick a university in the UK, the things you need to think about as an international student before you start your university application. Okay, before we go on, I would advise that you watch this video till the very end. The most important thing that you should consider is like almost at the end, so you need to watch it all the way through so you don't miss out that important point. And also, if you're already studying in the UK, can you please drop a comment down below? Let me know what you considered before you picked your university. So you know what to do right now. If you've not hit the subscribe button, this will be a good time to hit the button. Please hit the subscribe button and let's get started. If this is your first time here, my name is Chidera and I'm a master's student here in the UK. I started my course in 2019. It's a year and I'm almost done. I can't wait. The very first thing you should consider when picking a university here as an international student is the course you want to study. Make sure it is something you're genuinely interested in, something you can see yourself committed to, committing your time, your efforts, and everything into, because that's what you'll be doing for the duration of your studies, especially if you're coming here for your postgraduate studies. If you're coming here to do your master's or your PhD, you need to be really sure that you want to pursue that course. You need to consider, how does this course align with your career goals? How would this course take you a step further in achieving your goals for yourself? Because postgraduate courses are very much streamlined, unlike your undergraduate course where you might have just gone to uni not really knowing what you want to do. At this point, before taking up a postgraduate course, it is assumed that you have an idea or you have a plan for your career, like you have a career trajectory that you're following. So you need to really consider and be sure that this course is something you're genuinely interested in. The second thing to consider is course rankings and university rankings. Both of them are equally important. A lot of people just focus on university ranking. Oh, Oxford Uni is like the best uni, Cambridge is like the best uni. But apart from that, reputation is great. But apart from that, you also need to check other important factors like the course rankings itself, student satisfaction. For example, when I was looking at universities to apply to, I applied to Imperial College London and I applied to so many like top universities, but then when I really looked at my course rankings, I realized that the University of Portsmouth, where I am, is like highly ranked for my course. So I had to weigh the pros and the cons. I'm like, oh, it would be really nice to study in Imperial College, have that whole the whole swagger that comes with it. But when we're talking about the value I would get from the course, University of Portsmouth was a better option, and that was how I chose the University of Portsmouth. So you need to really consider not just the university ranking or the university reputation, but also the course rankings. Another thing to consider is the course structure and content. How is the course structured? Lots of universities offer similar courses, but then the difference is in the way this course is delivered. So you might want to look at the course structure and see if it fits your kind of person. For me, the University of Portsmouth is not the only university that is offering crisis and disaster management, emergency management, all of that. I had to look at the course structure, and the thing that drew me to the University of Portsmouth is the fact that they have like a simulation exercise that takes place for 3 days where we're out in the field and we're simulating a real-time disaster. So like that just got my attention. So you need to look at the course structure and go through it and be sure the contents of the course are the things you would like to cover or the things you're interested in. You can find information on course rankings and university rankings on a couple of websites. One of them is the Guardian University Guide, another one is the Times University Guide, another one is ukuni.net. I will put all the link below in the description box so you could check and consider all the important rankings before you pick a university. The third important thing to consider is the cost of living. I know it's great when you think about it to live in London, because London is like the commercial center of England, all of that. But can you comfortably afford living there? A lot of people want to go to London. A lot of people want to live in London, especially if you're coming from Nigeria. London is like the place that is really hyped in England. That's the part we all know, like, London, she's in London, you understand? But you need to really consider the cost of living. Can you comfortably afford to live in that city. Because apart from your tuition, apart from accommodation, you need to consider cost of transportation, cost of food, eating out, all of that. Before you pick a uni, consider the location, consider the accommodation choices. What are the options? How expensive is accommodation in that city? And usually universities give a guide as to the overall living expense for living in that city. So when you're checking for the course, you can also see an estimate of the living expense in that city. So you look at it and you weigh your pockets very well to be sure that you can comfortably afford living there. I just remembered something. Do you know that I've been living here for almost 9 months, and I just realized I've never been to central London. I've never seen Big Ben. Who would believe that? Because back when I was in Nigeria, I was like looking forward to going to London. It's surprising that I've not been there till now. Wow. If you decide, like me, that you're not going to study in London because you cannot afford it, fine. Next thing you need to consider is the distance from that city to London. How long will it take you to get to London? Because of a truth, London is like the commercial center, and lots of time you may have to do a couple of things in London. So you need to consider distance, the commuting time. For me, from Portsmouth to London is like 1 hour, and I'm like, it's fine, I can do it. So you need to consider the distance, commuting distance from your city to London. Okay, next thing to consider when picking a university as an international student is the campus environment, the university environment. First of all, you need to consider if you would like a city university or a campus university. So apparently there are differences between these two. A city university is one that the university facilities are scattered all across the city. Do you get me? But then a campus uni is the one that is like in a very defined area, like everything is within a defined area, maybe like a large expanse of land, and you have different departments and different facilities. For the University of Portsmouth is a city university, such that the university is intertwined with the city. So you will have one department here, and then you see lots of shops and everything. You find another department there, you see houses, you find another department there. Do you get? So you need to consider, would you like that kind of university that is interwoven with the city? Because that comes with its own pros. It comes with its own advantages, because you're close to important facilities, amenities, you're close to restaurants, you're close to hospitals, you're close to, everything, because it's interwoven with the city. Do you get? While a campus uni is like separated from the city, they have their own space, they have their land, and all of that. So you need to consider it. Another thing to consider is, what is life like in that university? What is the student life like? Do they have a vibrant student body? Do they have a vibrant student union? Because when they have like a very active student union, it tells you that the opinions of students are heard and listened to. So you need to consider that. One very, very, very important thing you need to consider as an international student is the percentage of international students in that university. You don't want to arrive there and be the only person from your country. Although that is highly unlikely, but you just need to consider this point. Check the percentage of international students to home students so that you would know how diverse their community is. And that way you would also be able to tell if you can find a community for you, like maybe a Black Students Association or an African Students Association or a Nigerian Students Association. So that way you have a community and you won't feel so alone when you arrive here. Also, try to find out everything you can about the university and about life in that school from the website, from YouTube reviews. Like, there are lots of content on YouTube for most of the universities. So you can go through all of that, find out stuff on their website. Just ensure you do your research and then you know what you're going into. Another thing I tell people to consider is the air quality and if you can happily picture yourself living there. So for me, another thing that made me, God, this is beginning to sound like this video is sponsored, but it is not sponsored by the University of Portsmouth. But anyway, another thing that made me pick the University of Portsmouth is the fact that they have a beach. Okay, so there's a beach. I have lived all my life in a landlocked state in Nigeria. Like we have beaches in Nigeria, but where I lived was like a landlocked area. We did not have any beach. So when I just saw that, oh, there's a beach in Portsmouth, I'm like, sealed. I'm going there. No questions asked. Packing my bags. I'm there. Okay, I'm there. You need to consider the environment. You need to consider, like, picture it. Can you see yourself living in that city? For me, I did a whole lot of research. I checked every single thing. Another thing I would advise you should consider is accessibility to your local food. For me, stomach infrastructure is very, very important. I don't joke with my stomach. So I had to do my research to ensure I'll be able to find Nigerian food, and just to ensure they had like African stores. So I realized they had like 4 or 5 African stores. I was like, okay, check. And then the beach is there, check. And I'm like, oh, because there's a beach, the air quality will be great. Check, check. And I'm like, oh, it's not a busy city like London. I checked the population and I just, read about how life is like in this city. And I'm like, oh, it's a calm city. And I'm like, check, check, check. I'm going there. So you need to consider all of these things. Just be sure that you can see yourself living in that city comfortably. The last but not the least is try to visit the university before you make a decision. And I know as international students, this might not be an option that is available for all of us. Like, not all of us can just leave Nigeria and come here to visit a school and go back. It doesn't work like that for some of us. So if it's not possible for you to visit the uni, you might want to find out if the university is having open days in your country. So for example, in Nigeria, I know most universities in the UK have open days in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. So you might, if you're in any of these locations, you might just want to attend the open days, as this will give you an opportunity to interact with the university representatives face to face and ask any questions that you might have, and just get to know more about the university. Also, if you're someone who is into nightlife, who likes to party, you might want to consider the nightlife at that university or in that city. Do they have a vibrant nightlife? Then you also might want to check out the sports and gym facilities. If you're very much into sports, you want to check if they've got adequate gym facilities, if they've got top-notch sports facilities and all of that. So we have come to the end of this video, but before I leave, I need to mention one thing that is very, very important. Ensure to check if the university you're applying for is accredited as a Tier 4 visa sponsor. So apparently, not all universities in the UK can sponsor international students. Not all universities in the UK have the accreditation or the capabilities to sponsor international student visas. So you need to check your university with the government's website and be sure that that university can sponsor your visas and international students before you make any down payment. So I'll put the link below to the list of accredited universities that offer Tier 4 visa sponsorships. Okay, what it means is that these schools can sponsor your visa so you can come and study in the UK. If you're applying to a school that does not sponsor your Tier 4 visa, there is no point because you cannot come here. We have come to the end of this video. I hope you found it interesting. If you did, do not forget the drill. Give this video a thumbs up, and feel free to share with your friends. Till next time, guys.